Hello, and welcome to the Explain It podcast with your host, myself, Ingryd Hernandez. Thank you for being here, everybody. I have a truly special, I say this every week, but I have a truly special podcast this week because this person, I feel like I've grown in this real estate space alongside how they've grown out. They've had a lot more years of experience in this. They've got a couple of more licenses. You know, he's been a GC, build a construction business, and now building his roofing business. And it's super cool because we've kind of been around the same sort of folks and kind of seeing how we've both kind of leveled up or evolved in what we're doing. So I'm excited to have Ryan LaRue with us today. Hey, Ryan, how are you?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. So I still
Quite the
recall.
intro.
Oh, thank you. I still recall when you and I had like a conversation in your kitchen dining room area where you had all these other businesses going on. And I think I put into question what your goals were because I was like, bruh, why don't you just focus on this one thing? And then it's exactly what I believe you ended up doing. So
Yeah.
I want to kind of bring to the audience your origin story and sort of how you got started in this like real estate / business space and kind of where you're at now.
Yeah. So I got started in real estate in 2009 when I was 21. Bought a house from foreclosure. Had no idea what I was doing, but I had a mentor at the time. It was just like, no matter what, you could just whatever you can do, buy a house. So I bought a house, and I bought a foreclosure because he told me to buy a foreclosure. So bought a foreclosure. I lived in it while I fixed it up, and like 3 years goes by, and my realtor who sold me the house or connected me with the house basically just told me like, hey, I think you could sell this and make some money on it. And so I sold it, cash offer, like 2 days in the market, and I made like 60 grand on the house. And so I thought I was rich because by that time I was like 23, 24 years old. And so I was like, dang, I'm gonna start doing this more. So I jump into buying a house, live in it, fix it up, sell it. So kind of did the live in flip thing. And then I was like, well, I'm going to buy more than one house. So that's when I started flipping houses. I didn't know what flipping houses was at the time.
So what were
Simultaneously,
you doing for income at the time though? So you're buying these houses, young buck. What were you doing then for income?
I started a pool company, a pool service and repair company when I was 21 as well. So I kind of went through that early stage 20s era where I feel like just about every guy in his early 20s tries, today it's like drop shipping and e-com and, but it's like some sort of low barrier to entry business. And for me, it was pool service. So I had worked for a couple of pool service companies, figured out how to do the business, started my own pool route, had my own customer base. So I built that up. And once I decided I wanted to get more involved in real estate, I ended up I sold my pool service company, or I sold the route. I didn't actually sell the company. I sold the route, which is kind of a unique business in itself. People build up routes, sell them. So that was kind of my first experience, like exiting a company in a sense. But yeah, then I got into flipping houses. Then I had people say, hey, like I met other investors along the way and was like, hey, I need people to flip my houses. So then I started doing other houses for people, and that kind of became a GC because of that. So I started GCing other people's projects, then I started doing homeowners projects and become like a contractor by default. So I was up until I kind of ran with that through 2022. I would do my own fix and flips. I got into wholesaling along the way. I learned wholesaling from Instagram back in like 2015 from Cody Sperber. He would go live on Instagram, and so I would just kind of dove into wholesaling a little bit.
And you were the guy who brought Pace and Jamil together.
Yeah, I totally did.
I love how they tell this. Well, and this is what I didn't even know, and I already knew who you were, but I was like, what? It was Ryan who like Pace and Jamil were like, why don't we flip this together? And it's like, oh, Ryan was the one trying to wholesale them a deal that they were both competing against. So that was kind
of. I know. I had both of their acquisition guys. Like like firing off at me, like trying to, hey, here's a higher offer, higher offer. I'm like, shit, who do I sell this deal to? And then finally they three-way called me and they're like, hey, we're going to buy this deal together. And then I think that somehow if I remember the story right, like Pace, because Pace puts everything on social media, or it did at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think somebody from A&E TV caught on to it, and then they got their A&E TV show, which is pretty cool.
Literally off the deal that you gave them is how they got their A&E, because it was such a cool story of collaboration over competition.
Yeah.
And you were the in-betweener on how they decided, hey, let's join forces instead of upselling each other on that property. So yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pace has helped me out along the way, because he used to be a contractor too. And so we have kind of similar war stories of our contractor days. And kind of gone through some crazy stuff too, and from the same people actually. But so learned to wholesale. So I did some wholesaling. I had a wholesale team a couple times and flipping. And then in 2022, I was one of the guys super over leveraged. I had multiple businesses going on, but they were very vulnerable to the market. And it's kind of funny because looking back, there were so many people like, oh, I can't wait for a correction, or we're all ready, but none of us were ready. We got smoked. So I ended up losing like 800 grand or so, like 880,000 to be exact, during the 2022 when rates jumped up. I was holding the bag on like $1 million plus flips, right? So I ended up just like getting my ass kicked. Like,
wow.
the story, but like for the people that don't know it, and it's
No,
just like,
and I think it's important to highlight this, and the fact that people and I'm still feeling it too. Like I still feel that this rate issue is a continued problem, and those of us who are kind of like being dragged along on what's happening is like, these are the actual stories that we don't socialize. Some of it is because we can't. Like we're in partnerships that won't allow us to talk through what's happening. And then the other is the fact that we're kind of trying to be as creative as possible to kind of get our asses out of this. I have a property right now. It's a semi-luxury flip out in Phoenix. And I'm like, okay, the best way that I can actually help myself is probably to sell this on a wrap, 4-bedroom, 3-bath with a pool, beautiful premium lot, guys. And so, so I've now today, as I'm in meetings and stuff, I'm like texting lenders and it's like, hey, what 1099 people do you have? Maybe even I-10 people that I can hold the note for them on this. And they have a good $50,000, $60,000 down payment. This is a semi-luxury home in a very nice market. And okay, I have to bury my own around $70,000 in it, but at least I don't lose. And those are the types of things that we have to figure out. So how did you help yourself in 22? Like how, you said, what are some of the creative solutions you had to come through with in order to get through that $880,000 loss?
Yeah, so that's it was like, I feel like most things in life, when you go through like hard times, you're just like almost, I think the immediate like reaction is like, damn, I'm a victim of my own, you know what I mean? Almost like the little victim mentality a little bit, but then you get like, you have to get over that quick, obviously. It was like a little bit of probably a 6-month shock. And the reason being is because I had a lot of private money. I had about 480,000. So of the 880 that I lost, 480 of that was private money. The other 400 was my own. So it's like I lost some of my own. But losing other people's money, that's like a whole other ballgame. And so, and it wasn't like I did anything wrong. It's just like when rates turn and you're holding, $1 million+ properties on hard money, like I got crushed because of holding costs. I couldn't sell these things. I was chasing the market down. I couldn't sell. So I have all thee private money guys coming after me in the sense of like, I had threats, like death threats. I've had lawsuits, and I didn't get sued through that, but I had, the threats, and I had a few attorney calls and stuff like that. But people were just coming after me, like as if I like went to their house and robbed them. And so I had to navigate that for a while, and some of it even up in as early as this past January, 2.5 years later. But I finally have everybody paid back, which is cool, to finally have that off my back. But I had to have a realization with myself because I was chasing too many rabbits, right? Like you chase more than one, how many are you going to catch? So I
Yeah.
had a pool service company again for the third time because and at that time I had started another pool service company. So for the third time, because I built it up in twice and sold it, sold the route twice. So
Mhm.
this is my third time building it. And so I had a pool service company, I had a door and window company, GC. We were doing wholesaling, we were doing flips. Like, my background, my backbone has always been construction and GC stuff. But
Mhm.
I had like all these irons in the fire, but then I had to sit back, and it was actually, there's not a lot of like videos or books that I read that are like life altering for me. But there's a video on YouTube by Alex Hermosi that he came out with about the woman in the red dress,
The
right?
Marvel story. Yep.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
he's like, you're chasing the woman in the red dress. I'm like, damn, I have all these businesses, right? But if my pool guy didn't show up, guess who was the pool guy for the day? Like, guess who was out installing the doors and windows when the other guys couldn't install? Like, that was me. You know what I mean? So I was wearing all these hats, just running myself into the ground. And I'm like, you know what? What is it that I like to do? What am I good at, and what do I make the most money at? And then between all of this too, I realized I didn't have a true business. Everybody's like, oh, I got a wholesaling business, I got a pool business, but then it's like you look inside of it, and it's like it's not even a true business, just a high paying job. And like now running this new business, like I understand like what a real business is, compared to what I used to run, and it's like very amateur to what I used to do. And I would make good money, but it was like I didn't have people talk about systems and processes and all this. Like I didn't have any of that. Like, and I
Mhm.
thought I did, but I totally didn't in hindsight. So I got rid of my pool like right off the bat. Like in a matter of like watching that video, the very next day I made some calls, got rid of all my pools. Like I just dumped them. And I was like, here you go, you can have these. I'm done. I'm done with the pool company. The door and window company, I gave that to who's now the GM of my company, Nate. Like he ran with it for a little bit. Then we got more involved doing real roofing. And so I was like, dude, cut that off. Come over here and do this full time with me. So
Mhm.
wholesaling, all that stuff. I'm so burnt out on real estate at the time. I just got my ass kicked. And I was like, I've got to build a real company that can not only sustain my life, but also get me out of the debt.
Mhm.
So, yeah. And so I was doing roofing before as a GC, but it wasn't just roofing. Like we were doing anything from the ground up, new builds, remodels. So I would still do 4 to 5 roofs a month as a GC, but I just went all in on roofing. So, and because of that, like we put true systems and processes and people in place. And if it wasn't for my people, I wouldn't be here. But now we have multi 7-figure, pushing 8-figure company now. 2 years, what was it? 2.5 years later, I guess. Yeah, we're exactly 2.5 years in.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
we keep doing it right, I think we'll hit 8 figures this year. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That is. Woo! I got goosebumps. One of the things I remember when we were sitting in your kitchen, I was like, what is your revenue goal for your
Yeah,
roofing company? You still remember this, right?
yeah, we had the whiteboard out. Yeah,
Yeah, we took the whiteboard out because like I felt all like consulting kind of uh, I don't know why I felt some type of way. And again, you're a friend of mine. This goes beyond like, just having an acquaintance in like these kind of spaces. I consider you a friend. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, here's his revenue goal with wholesale. Here's his revenue goal for the pool route. And then here's like what obviously is a much bigger goal. I think it was 4 million. And
yeah.
then I remember asking you, what's holding you from maybe going 10? I think is what was my question,
Yeah.
if I recall correctly. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
No, it was something like that. But and that's it's a mindset thing, right? And then like we hear all these stupid quotes and stuff online where people are like, oh, the average millionaire has 10, or what is it, 7 revenue income streams, whatever it is. And I'm like, so you like program your brain to believe that like the only way I'm going to make it is if I have multiple businesses and multiple irons in the fire. But it's like,
Mhm. Mhm.
but you don't realize like what happened like the past 20 years for that entrepreneur to get to 7 streams of income. And it's like they
Mhm.
built they stuck with one thing till they got it really good and had it running or sold or whatever it is, and then they attached on other revenue. So that's where like, yeah, we were sitting there and I remember you thinking like, why do you have this pool company? Why are you wholesaling? And I'm like, well, that's all I've ever done. I had multiple irons in the fire. Like, it was almost gave me anxiety to think, like, how can I only do one thing, which is roofing? Like I could, at the time I was like, there's no way I'm gonna cut all the other arms off, you know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but cutting them off was like the best decision, business and financially, I've ever made. And not even like even mentally, like the mental, like capacity you have to run to be like, okay, I've got a pissed off pool customer. I need to leave this job that I'm doing here to go there and help the pool customer. Oh, now I've got a pissed off door customer or window customer. Now I have to go be a door guy. Now I have
Mhm.
to go be a roofer, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and then simultaneously trying to run like an acquisitions team, like in wholesaling, which wholesaling can be great, but think about the times we're in right now. Like, people are getting their asses kicked, right? I mean, it's slower. Well, summertime's our slow season, so it's a little slower for us right now too. But there's like a little predictability behind that. Like, we knew it was going to be slow this month and next month, so we started preparing back in January for the summer. You know, but like when I was in wholesaling, it's a moving target, like week by week, right? So yeah, it can be good, and I would suggest. I'm not kind of going off topic here, but I think people just doing what I do now, going back to wholesaling, like it's such a moving target that there's you just have to, I don't know how to explain it. Like, it's hard to be prepared for it, you know. And
Mhm.
for me, like, I didn't have enough money saved. I didn't have enough systems in place or like backup stuff in place to sustain. And so that's one thing that like really kicked my ass in 2022.
Yeah. Part of it is like understanding the risk level you're taking based
Right.
on your fallbacks, right? Like,
Yeah.
what is the worst case scenario here? And if you have that worst case scenario happen, how will you be able to make everyone a whole who's available? And I think one of the things that I find a little tough of a pill to swallow, and then when I communicate this, I'm sure people are gonna be shocked. But if you're a private money lender and you expect that every single time you're gonna be made whole and that you're not actually taking a risk, I also feel that that is unfair.
Yeah.
Um, there is economic hardships and market swings that are going to ultimately also impact your operator's ability to perform. And now, I think I'm a private money lender myself, right? I've actually ran into this situation where I gave money to somebody on a property in Texas. They expected to wrap it and they would pay me back with that money and then supplement a piece of it. They were already preparing for this, supplement a piece of it with their wholesaling company. And that way I could be made whole along with my interest. Well, they couldn't find a wrap buyer. I wasn't getting any interest paid at all. So I invested in this deal and nothing was happening. And then I had to instigate the communication, right? I think as a private money lender, I understand that the market is going to impact how I'm going to get made whole. But the number one mistake that somebody makes is not communicating.
Yes. Big
The
time.
moment I was able to instigate that communication and kind of had some set expectations there, all of a sudden, like, it got better with us. Now I had to create, I told them, like, hey, I know you guys are in a bind. I'm not trying to be Darth Vader over here. Let's settle for a smaller interest payment so that you guys can make it work. And then on a monthly basis, here's what that interest payment could look like so that we can make it work within your cash flow. And so I feel like I was a pretty reasonable private money lender given what I put myself into, but it was also because I wanted to find a solution and save the relationships that we had created. And so I recall going through that when you were going through a lot of that too. And it's just like, how it's stressful. How do you make all that work? How do you make a lot of people? But I also needed to understand myself, like, if you're going to loan, you need to loan to own and know that
Yes.
the ultimate payback is that you're left holding whatever that investment was that
The
you're
asset. Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's like where like things for myself and my my personal situation is 0 of my private money lenders were willing to they weren't willing to trap cash, like meaning refinance out of a hard money loan and hold that for a long-term property, whether there were several, I'm like, hey, I have money in all these deals. You can have the property, keep it, my money, I'll take the loss and you can keep the property. And there wasn't a single one that was willing to like keep the property, refi it. They all just wanted their money. And it was like, I want my money right now. And it was like 150 here, 50 grand there, 90,000. I'm like, dude, we're out of money, like I can't give you $150,000. I can't give you $90,000, but there's like zero grace. And that's one thing. I stayed very communicative. And there was times like at night, like I would get like these text messages like 10 p.m. at night from some of these guys. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even going to respond to this right now. It's 10 p.m. But then the next morning at 5 a.m., they're like, why are you ghosting me? Why, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, like it's 10 p.m. Like give it a break. There's nothing at 10 p.m. at night that I could do to like, there's physically nothing. Like I can't go to the bank and get money out of the bank for you. I can't do anything for you. Mm-hmm. So people get a little crazy, but I think communication is the biggest thing. I see a question. Do you want to answer that?
The DeAndre. Yeah. Well, if you spend all day cold calling or things like that, that's all wholesaling is. Until you build a team that works for your business, it's just a high paying job. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd love your feedback, and I'm willing to provide some context here too.
Yeah. So, like business, like in any business, the foundation is all the same. You have sales, you have marketing, you have delivery, whether it's a product, service, whatever it is. So yeah, until you build a team that works for your business, what's the number one issue building a team in wholesale, would you say?
Keeping
people. They learn it, you teach them, and then guess what? I can go do this on my own. So that's like in wholesaling, that is like the biggest. This is like why you'll see like people like, I've got this wholesale business, and then 6-8 months later, it's down to back them and their partner. And then 6-8 months later, they've got, hey, we're cranking. We've got 10, 15 people dialing, texting, dispo agents, acquisition agents, whatever it is. But again, most of those people are there to learn on your dime. And as soon as they feel like they have a few deals under their belt, like they don't need you anymore. So that's like, and we hear it a lot in the wholesale and the real estate industry, like build a business. Like, I'm trying to think like what some like the online gurus talk about, but basically build it to where like people won't leave you. Like if you have a culture in this, but it's like, yeah, you're giving your guy 20-30% of the acquisition when they pretty much did all the work, like they can go off on their own. So yeah, it's a real fine line of basically building a business. And then I think there's like a stigma too, where it's like build it and then I can just step back and let my company run itself. Like that's hard. That's very hard to do. Like,
yeah,
I think about that even like in this company, and we're so young, we're only 2.5 years old, but like there's times I can't step out of this company. Like we're just not there. And I have a lot of people that work here. I have managers, like we have like a pretty good stack of management in place and systems and processes, but it's still like to step out of business. I think that's the stigma that people need to like take with a block of salt. Like, don't be so quick to step out of your business. Like, put the people in place and step out. Like, I just don't feel like that's realistic for an early stage company, and especially, and maybe my mindset on that will change once I get to a point, like, let's say I get to a point where we're big enough to do an exit or something like that. And then I want to rebuild like another business, whatever, bolt on. Because like right now we're analyzing taking on like an HVAC company as a form of partnership. But even with that, it's like, I don't even have a lot of time to dedicate to that. I can offer like some leadership and some guidance.
But it might be a distraction in what you're trying to.
Yeah.
And back to Alex Hormozi, like he talks about you will always have tons of ideas and tons of opportunities. The harder thing to do is maximize your potential that you have in your singular lane. Like once you've maximized what your singular business can do, then you can start thinking about bolt-ons and but that means you have to be able to assess that you have that breathing space, that like maturity in your organization, that you have A-game players where they need to be, so that then you can have the capacity of thinking about those additional
Yeah.
revenue generators, basically. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it sounds easy to like, oh, like we're already selling a service, right? A home services type service and product, roofing. Like, oh, it's easy just to bolt on HVAC or plumbing. It's home services is like a cool thing out in social media right now, and it's just like, oh, just buy one or start one, or it's easy. And it's like, this is not easy by no means. Like, this company is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like, and I've had like all these little gimmicky, I had a window tint company. I did pool service. I did like I've had my hands in all these businesses trying to figure business out. This is by far the hardest thing, and it's like it is really hard. And but I love doing it. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. But to answer that person's question, I can't remember the question exactly, but
The entree, when he's like, is wholesaling basically a high paying job? I believe it is. I believe
yes,
it is. If you actually look at who has scaled their business, just think more broadly, 10,000 foot view across the US. And you think about who has actually rinsed and repeated and been able to kind of step into a position where they're working on their business, not in their business. I can only think of like two or three
two or
examples
three. Yes,
where a wholesaling company makes that kind of sense. But when I think about roofing, or I think about these more more specialized skill sets, I would say, of businesses, those you'll have more of, right? Think more
yeah,
franchising, right? So like
yeah,
a wholesaling standpoint, I can think of like Keegley or
yeah,
New Western, or even Brent Daniels ish, kind of, and not really. So it's like these folks could only go so far with their wholesaling company. I think like not these folks. I'm sorry, like people who aren't them. I
people in general. Yeah,
I can give you way more examples of people who couldn't keep their wholesaling going.
yeah. It's tough because again, you have extremely high turnover rate with your employees or team, and it's very it's a very inconsistent business, right? It's
Mhm.
very inconsistent. And
Well,
and
I think
again, there are a few people I can think,
yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
two or
I
three
think it's a
people
low
that,
barrier of entry. Anybody
yeah,
can wholesale, anybody. And
yes,
because anybody can also leave. Where roofing requires a level of dedication, a level of skill sets, that additional barrier of entry is a little bit harder. And the little bit harder is what actually makes it a more sustainable business.
yeah.
Mm.
I own a roofing company in Michigan. Ricky, stay with roofing. just and that's the thing too. I see it a lot, and so like when I go to like contractor events or stuff like that, people ask, people always ask like, "What's your background?" Stuff like that, and oh, I've been wanting to get into real estate. I'm like, why? Like once you're in this vehicle, and I don't know Ricky's business's size or anything like that, but I'd be interested to. I'm always interested to hear about people's, and not just in roofing, but like when I hear any other type of trades business, I'm like, what's kind of like the question you asked me, what's preventing you from going to 4 to 10 million or 10 to 20 million or whatever it is? Like I can guarantee you right now, Ricky, it's not rental properties. Like that's the long game. And if you need to stuff some cash somewhere to offset taxes, I can see that. But like
But even
I,
that, you can utilize the who, not a how, where you're
yeah,
engaging with someone like myself, for example, and we find those opportunities for you, and you can automate the real estate rentals piece, because technically everybody makes money from your rentals except you. The
yeah,
only You only make money from your rentals, 7, 10, 15 years down the line.
yeah,
It's a marathon, so it's not an active income business. One of the fallacies that I had when I first started doing real estate, because I came from a high income earning job, I was making over 200,000, at the end of the day, and on a yearly basis, and I was like, I'm going to buy 10 rentals, and with those 10 rentals, they're going to pay for my family's lifestyle, so that
yeah,
I can, focus on real estate. And then I think I own 13 now. I think today we closed on another one. And I'm like, I don't touch my rentals. Like, especially in Arizona, I hoard everything they possibly can make, because like yesterday, had to dish out $1,100 to buy a new fridge for one of my rentals.
yep,
And so if I'm taking my cash flow, I won't have money for that,
yep,
even when I'm putting stuff in reserves. Because when you're making $200-300 a month, maybe, you have to save so much of that in your reserves so that you can actually take care of some of these incidentals. So I look at owning real estate now as just a tax sheltering, like a tax and wealth management, not a money maker right now. It's a 15 years down the line point of view. So
and it's like in 15 years from now, where's the money going to be? It's either going to be when you refi the property, do a cash out refi, tax free, or hopefully you get the appreciation depending on what market you're in. Because right now I see a lot of real estate people like going for Ohio and these Midwest markets where it's a very linear market.
That's me.
Yeah. So it's like you can cash flow like pretty decent. Your cash and cash returns are decent compared to what you pay to what you can rent it out. But it's a linear market, so it's probably not going to appreciate much in the next 15 years. I don't know what market you're in, but I see some of these that are like that. A lot of Midwest markets are like that, or in the South. So it's like that's another thing too, is like you can hold that property 15 years from now. It might only be worth 10% more. I'm not sure the appreciation rate. I don't pay attention to that. Yeah.
The appreciation is super flat. So you have to understand your strategy, that if you are building a portfolio in the Midwest, it's not for a crazy exit. You're doing it for the cash flow, you know? And that's also why so many folks deploy a wrap strategy in that area. And that's including myself. You can still wrap sell houses with the current interest rates you have. You're making probably 25% less than you would have, before the rates went up, but you're still making money. And you're also not having to deal with termites, toilets, and tenants, right? It's somebody who owns it. They're taking care of the property. Yeah. And you're really just arbitraging your ability to put long-term debt on it and have somebody else basically take care of it for you. But so because it's not appreciation, because it's not like a huge arbitrage now than it used to be, really it's all about cash flow. So people have to understand too, it's like, it's not going to give you the best tax incentives either. For someone like myself, because I build my portfolio mostly here in Arizona, I'm like, okay, I got what I need for my taxes. Let's go actually make a tax problem and go make cash flow. So you have to understand what your market is going to serve to you, and not, I hear a lot of people say, I don't know what market to invest in. And it's like, well, what's your financial situation? Your financial situation will likely steer you into where your market will be. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's super smart. Is like what's like every person's journey is different, because like you said, where are you currently at financially, and like where are you trying to go? So but I say again, going back to Ricky's comment, same reason wholesaling is difficult. Salespeople are hard to keep happy and motivated. You teach them the skills. Wholesaling, they can do it alone. Last year we did 12 million, down from 15. So that's a great company. He's in a great market too in the Midwest. I'm going to assume, being in the Midwest, they do a lot of insurance work out there because they get the store. Unlike here, we don't have it's a retail market for roofing. And like he said, in roofing, it's the same thing. Like guys will learn to sell, and then they go start their own company. But that's one thing, Ricky, like, and I think where I'm a little bit biased because it's my company, but we're building a true brand. Like we're building something. We're in 3 states now, about to start a 4th state, probably next quarter. So like we're building a brand that's allowed us to go beyond like just selling and having guys come in and learn and then go out. And not to say that Ricky doesn't have a brand either. 12 million's great, even down from 15 million. But what I would, when I hear people that are in the trades talk about jumping into wholesale or like to real estate, it's like I want to know why. Like, are you just wanting the cash flow? Do you need a tax shelter or some money? Because if you're just going for cash flow, trying to make $300, $400, $500 a month, it's like, as Ricky knows, like we can go sell a roof repair and make that kind of money. Way less stressful, way faster. Like, so I'm always curious to know, because it's like, now that I'm seeing our company scale, like I want to see other people's companies scale too. So it's like, like Ricky, how do you get your business? You're down to 12 million. How do you get it? You've experienced 15 million. How do you get it to 20 million? like, because like
overshoot it so that if you miss your overshot, you're really where you need to be.
Right. And then not to add to that, it's like to get to these high, like you hear people like, oh, I've got 50 grand, 100 grand a month in cash flow for my real estate portfolio. They have a massive portfolio. Like to get that size of portfolio, you have to do something great. Like you either need to build and exit a company or have come from money, or, you know, like our friend Pace, like he's done very well, like amassing a portfolio, but like that didn't happen overnight. Like that dude's busted his ass to get there, and so it's a ton of work, and all of it's just it's in the work. But like to me, it's not appealing to have 3, 4, 5, 10 single family houses that are printing $400-500 a month cash flow.
Yeah.
Like, one AC goes out, there goes your entire year's cash flow. Like,
totally. Yeah.
So
Ricky Steele said he's personally sick of sales reps. I get it. I totally understand that for sure. And it's a very specific kind of character that comes with that kind of role. And then to the point you were making, I think what's really amazing about single family homes and investing into single family homes, and kind of what I said before, is like once you get into some portions of real estate, it's kind of like the gateway drug to entrepreneurship. And really it's that you can, on a much smaller scale, see the pieces that come together for you to run a business. Like, let's say you just have one single family rental, right? You have to understand that there's asset management with it. So like the debt service that you have to do every month, the reconciling of any money spent against it, your property management fees, you're making sure that it's going through maintenance, right? Every 3-4 months, you're changing your filters out, stuff like that. That's a much smaller scale. That when you start thinking about a business like roofing, those same kind of activities have to happen on a much bigger scale, right? When you're running, I used to have to manage. I worked for a big food service company where, you know, we did $33 billion in revenue, right? And so it's a B with a B, you know? And so, and I had to run a book of business that had close to $3 billion worth of that. So like 10% or just slightly less of that was running through my department. And I had to make sure all the processes and procedures and all the specialties that I held were being managed and maintained. I was the control and compliance analyst. You know, we needed to make sure that all these companies that we had these special relationships with were paying us back. We called them billbacks for us purchasing through them. And I presume maybe even in roofing, you might have something like that that says, hey, we'll have a specialized relationship with this specific manufacturer. But if I'm going to purchase from you, then I expect some sort of billback, some couponing for buying my product through you. Is that similar to what
they're called rebates, and so we experience those. We get a little bit on the front end, meaning like every 30 days on our billing, and then we get like a bigger, I think it's like 2% at the end of the year. But 2% doesn't sound like much, but if you purchase $1 million in materials, 2% is a $20,000 paycheck that they're kind of just getting back, so.
And then there's an expense to have to track that, right? Because you're going to have somebody making sure that that's being properly tracked, maintained, and that they can't, somehow miss giving you some of these rebates because you don't have somebody tracking that properly. Totally. Like that was my job. My job was like, if 3 billion was what we're supposed to get rebated, then 3 billion is what I was my job to track. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's like, I'd be curious to see, I kind of nerd out on this stuff too, but like, Ricky, what's your company buildup look like? Like, what's your management team? You say you're sick of salespeople, but is it because you're the owner plus the sales leader plus like the production? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I see a lot of owners and businesses are like, I'm burnt out. Like, I have this machine that I built. He's got this $12-15 million machine that he built, but like, he's kind of sick of the people or whatever the case might be. Maybe he's been doing it for 30 years or something, and he's just ready for his next venture. But that's where I'm just like, dude, you need to hire somebody. It's way easier said than done. That's another stigma on social media. Just, just hire somebody, plug them in. You know how hard it is to find like a good sales leader or like COO or whatever the position you might need. they're not easy to hire. Like the job market is crazy right now.
Yeah.
And so that it's difficult, but yeah, like a lot
What,
of the,
what is some of the difficulty you're experiencing in making these types of hires? I want to kind of tease that out a little bit, because one of the things that I used to pride myself in my corporate job was when I used to hire, mind you, these were not sales roles. These were like more nerdy admin roles.
yeah.
Like people would never leave me. So I'm just curious, like what is making it difficult for you in sort of the environment we're in right now?
It's you probably see, well, I know you see this still in real estate. So it's like comparative to even like real estate terms. People still think it's 2021, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like most people want a remote position. They want a very high salary for the position. And even like the younger the person, and this is just a generalized, I've got people who are very entry level, and I've got people where I'm like in borderline C-suite type people where I'm just like, hey, I need someone high level in my company to do X.
Mm-hmm.
But it's even like the entry level people, they're coming in asking for crazy salaries and not just crazy because I'm the business owner, but like crazy in the sense I'm like, there's no other job like position at any other company that would ever pay that salary.
Mm.
And I kind of feel like because we get asked a lot like inter like during interviews, like people will come to us. I had a sales rep recently. This is a perfect scenario right here. All my sales reps are commission only, and they make great commissions, like a great percentage. I had a sales rep most recently, this is 2 or 3 weeks ago, who responded to our sales ad, he works at another roofing company, tells us he has a good track record. I don't know. But instead of like going for the commission, he says, I'm going to email you a reverse offer. Cool. Let's hear it. He asked for $110,000 salary, a company vehicle, a company gas card, an unlimited marketing budget, and a commission. And I'm like, what the fuck's it? I'm sorry. I was like, what is a unlimited marketing budget? And this guy at his current company, like he takes people out to lunch and like kind of wines and dines. I'm like, okay, like I can get that. But he's like, yeah, last week I took out this property management company to the casino, and I spent, it was like $6,000 or $8,000. Like he just dropped like 6 or 8 grand at a casino with a property management company. Didn't tell his company he works for, and he's like, yeah. Then I walked in on Monday. I handed the front desk lady my bill, and I made them write me a check on the spot. I'm like, you just went and spent, I can't remember if it was $6,000 or $8,000, but let's just call it 6 grand. I'm like, you went and spent $6,000 unannounced to the company and then walked in and you want a reimbursement. Like, and that's what he wanted. Like he wanted like kind of an unlimited budget for whining and dining and his own marketing. And I'm like, dude, you're going to cost me almost $200,000 a year before even making a sale. It's just unrealistic, and it just unrealistic expectations out of people. And I'm like, at that point, just go start your own company.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're that good and like you're that confident and you've got things dialed, just go start your own company. I saw Ricky post something. I didn't see what it was though.
Yeah. He said literally, and then they couldn't close the door.
Yes.
So you have
Yes.
expectations, and then they're not actually bringing business to the table.
Yes.
The way that you have to look at whenever you hire someone, whatever their salary is, there's a level of ROI that comes with it. Because now you're not necessarily investing dollars. Well, you are investing dollars, but you're investing a person. And so this sounds terrible to say it this way, but what is that investment in that person going to pay you? And if it doesn't have a multiple, then it's not a hire you're ready for, or a hire that's worth going after. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's not like this guy's been with me, say, 5 years. He's got this super proven track record and he just kills it every month. And it's like, I don't even know this guy. But like you responded to my commission only ad as a sales rep, but then like presented. And I think that's one thing too. I was talking about building a brand that's, there is like a little bit of a double-edged sword with that, because people see like, oh, they see us on social media. We have a great social media presence. I feel like our digital presence.
I saw your Gorilla Reel recently. That was cracking me up. That was great.
The AI, yeah. Isaac comes up with cool stuff. But like, they see like our branding, they see like our socials, and they're like, dang, this company I hear it all the time, and I feel like I just take more of a humble approach, because people are like, oh, you're blowing up, and I'm like, sometimes I don't feel like we are blowing up, but I also see all the back end stuff too. So I feel like people think like maybe we're a bank and we have like a pile of money just sitting off to the side for people like this to come in and be like, hey, here's an unrealistic salary request. I want yeah. There's just like a lot of unrealistic requests in the job market. Again, it's not 2021, and I think people need to realize like we're coming back to like what a real job market is like. Like most
Normalizing.
people, yeah, normalizing. People need to work in office. Most people cannot work from home. Like there's a select percentage of people that can work from home, wake up every day, be motivated, get stuff done. But I would confidently say probably 99% of the population cannot work from home and
Yep.
like be productive, right? And
Well, be productive at the level that you would want them to be.
yes.
Like I know that about myself too, where I literally, the space that I'm in right now, it's kind of like a WeWork space. It's called Crown Room down here in Tempe. And I love coming here. Like I need that separation from my house, from my laundry, from my dishes, and know that I've come here to work, right?
Yeah.
I'm less likely to be on my social media, and I'm less likely to do all the bullshittery things that I would do if I was hanging out at home, because I would feel too comfortable at home. And you kind of need that uncomfortable feeling in the office, like eyes are on you. That's for my personality anyway, to know that I'm going to kind of get to business. So arguably that's really how it benefits you to have people in office, on top of the fact that decisions could be made so much faster
instantly.
Just like in wholesaling and real estate, it's speed to lead. Same thing in any business. Like the faster you can address a customer or a potential customer, the faster you're going to get that business.
Yeah. I'm a huge and probably people are going to attack me for this, but I don't really care. Like I'm a huge advocate for work in office, or like go to work. Like the work from home crowd is like not productive. And granted, there is a small percentage of people, but I would even like argue with some of those people like, oh, I'm productive. It's like, cool. Like how many actual producing hours that were actual like forward moving did you actually put in? Because like people can be productive for 1-2 hours a day, cool, but like if you're getting paid for an 8-hour day, but you were like, oh, I went to the gym at 11, then I had coffee with my friends at 1, it's like, dude, you just spent half your day like not doing anything. You know?
Well, I think my only pushback on that is I used to run like a data scientist team and a business analyst team, and these were like super nerds, where being in front of the computer is where they produce the best. And it could be in their home, or it could be at a coffee shop, or it could be wherever. But as long as they're in front of the computer, they're going to be super productive. So there is some.
There is a population. Yes.
Yeah, but by and large, get your ass in an office, because that's really where you can be the most productive.
Well, I even have sales reps currently that they don't want to show up to the office, and most sales reps need to be out and about, like go sell. But when you're not selling, come here, learn what we're selling, like be better, sharpen the axe, like get better. But they're just like, I don't need to be at the office. I don't want to go to the office. And it's like, okay, cool. Well, you have the lowest numbers. You know what I mean? Like you're the lowest producing guy. But let's take a look at the highest producing guy. Like, what does he do? He shows up every single day. He's hitting the phones. Like he's doing all of his things every single day consistently. And every month he's at the top of our sales board. Every month.
All right, Ryan, you're seeing a lot of he's. Are you telling me we need more ladies in that sales job? Is that
girls would crush it? Like I know of a few girls just here locally in Arizona that do roofing sales, and they freaking dominate. I feel like girls in sales roles in general crush it, but it's like this is like a guy's world. You know what I mean? Like roofing construction in general, it's like a guy's world. But like if I could get a girl like on the phone, she would crush. And one of my guys messaged me, no girls. It's kind of weird. Alec.
Look at Ricky, what he said. He said, love this combo. I like to hear your thoughts on selling roofing remote. And I have 3 girls and they all kill it. They're my top reps.
So,
And so
so,
well on here, honestly. I think sales in general, like, so I've had the great pleasure and honor to be on the No One Left Behind challenges with Pace and Jamil.
mhm,
And I just feel like women haven't been given the platform unless they have really amazing men backing them, right? Like you're a good friend of mine, Jamil and Pace, the way that they really help me socialize me more or less. I had my buddy Drew who texted me and he put me in a position to get like a speaking engagement in October. And I'm like, what? Like I never asked for that. And I'm like, what a privilege and an honor. And I would love to have anybody who's out there. And if you have a really strong woman who could, acquaintance, friendship, whatever, that would be great in sales, like what have you done to help contribute to them becoming better and getting the confidence? Because I really do think more women in a sales role, I think they're going to crush it.
yeah, totally. Yeah, I've in past jobs a long time ago, I've worked with some girl sales, and they would just dominate. But like Ricky's comment, so my top sales rep, we actually just moved him to so we're in Arizona, California, and Utah, but we just he's been selling remote strictly in California for the past I think 9 months or so. Living here in Phoenix, but then selling in California remote, and like most of his projects, like he's never even seen or set foot on. So it's possible with the right people to sell remote jobs, or I call them all jobs, but you can sell remote anywhere, So like even when I was doing wholesaling, 90% of my wholesale volume was in North Carolina. I've never even been in North Carolina, so it's like I don't know anything other than I don't know anything about North Carolina, but yeah, you could definitely sell remote. But if you can get a girl on the phone, like that knows her stuff, like yeah,
I
they'll
love
crush
that.
it.
I've
Yeah.
actually, recently bought 2 properties to wrap in Ohio. I've never been to Ohio, but
Yeah.
I will be there the end of next week, and then I will be in North Carolina. Funny you say that. In July, we have family that live out in Charlotte, so I'll record some stuff for you so you can kind of see what North Carolina
I
was
mean, for the
actually.
most part, business is business. It's the same
Yeah,
everywhere. It's the
yeah,
same everywhere. Like, like it, there's like in roofing, there's some variants of like the way we do things here in California are completely different, like
mm,
practices and pricing and stuff. But at the end of the day, it's still just roofing.
yeah.
Wholesaling is wholesaling. Like the only differences you might have is like attorney states, or like you have some of the new states. I don't keep up on all this too much, but like the ones that don't allow wholesalers anymore, so you have to be an agent or whatever kind of work. Just know the workarounds,
For
right?
double closing.
Double
Yeah,
closings, yeah.
yeah.
But it's all the same stuff everywhere.
So now that you've kind of moved into, this business space, what are some of your goals, and how do you see yourself kind of evolving now from where you used to be when you did real estate?
So I've sold all my real estate. Actually, I have one property left. Um, I would honestly just give it away. Like I just don't want in real estate right now. I don't have the capacity for it. As far as evolving, I would just like to build up our current team that we have. Like we have a really good team right now. I would just like to build on that foundation and just keep building that up. Um, and I like the idea of expanding to multiple states. Like it was kind of a scary thought at first, like, damn, how are we going to roof in a different state? And we've kind of got it figured out. So now, like I said, we're in 3 now, potential 4th, thinking about going to Colorado. Um, so just kind of keep building our platform essentially. But then my biggest thing right now is most of my customers are like a one-time sale. So it's like, how do I feel like roofs has got to be one of the hardest sales. Like nobody wants to buy a roof, right? So it's like, if I can get someone to trust me, my company, my people to buy a roof, what else can we sell them? Can we sell them an HVAC unit? Can we sell them plumbing? Whatever. I just like the home services space. I've been in it for almost 20 years now.
Mhm.
Like I don't know, 15, 16 years, whatever I've been doing this. So it's like, how can I just expand on that? Right.
Mhm.
Like I've already sold them a roof. Can I sell them an HVAC unit next year or 6 months on the road and kind of turn these people into forever customers? So
Yeah.
that's where my mind is like, how do I expand on my current business and clientele base and just build like a forever customer base?
Yeah.
So, um,
Affiliate marketing. Do you have any sort of affiliate? So like in real estate, people always want a referral. And I'm like, you guys realize that referrals in general are frowned upon from a regulation standpoint. But is there any regulatory requirements on the affiliate side with roof?
not that I know of. No, I pay out a lot of money in referrals. Like I
Yeah.
pay a lot of money in referrals and to agents, like
Mhm.
whatever, like we're
Cool.
all
So
here to,
we have an audience of, I don't know, close to 40 people between Instagram and YouTube. Is there an
yeah.
affiliate program that they could join with you in case they have customers for you?
Yeah, like I said, I have a large network in real estate, as you know. We kind of run the same circle. So it's like a lot of our peers, I pay I almost weekly I have some sort of referrals going out. So
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, anybody who wants to, just find me on Instagram. It's my can you put it like in the chat?
Yeah, I'm
Or how do
doing
you do
it.
that? Cool. Um yeah, because like I said, we pay out a lot of money in referrals. Um, I've even hired some people,
Is
sales
your
reps to
Instagram,
do it.
what's your Instagram? And I'll put it on the.
My personal is it's Ryan LaRue.
Okay. So they would reach out to you on your personal
Yeah,
Instagram.
it sure does me. I don't post a lot on there, like post wise, so if anybody looks at it, but I post on my stories and I'm really active on Instagram outside of just posting. So
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
yeah, just like that.
Fantastic. Okay.
But yeah, any
I know
questions
that
about
I have
business or anything? Sorry,
a,
go
uh-huh.
ahead.
Oh, I said, I know that I have a strong agent following. So if you're giving out referrals for business, that's awesome.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
office.
agents. We love working. I love working with agents just because it's again, I have a large real estate background and I can help them navigate not just agents, flippers, builders. Like I said, I've built houses myself. So flippers, builders, agents, wholesalers, I can help navigate those conversations and transactions to help maximize the transaction. And
Yeah.
that's like we were at a meetup last week. I don't go to a lot of real estate meetups anymore, but I went last week and it was like a room full of realtors and wholesalers.
Oh,
And I'm
perfect.
like even telling the wholesalers, I'm like, get me or my team involved on your transactions, even like when you're going to do the acquisition, and I'll help you get that price lower based on from the roofing perspective and stuff like that. Because roofs kill deals in a real estate transaction. We all know that. Like nobody wants to buy it; they kill deals. But like, what if you can enter into a deal knowing that like there's enough buffer there to afford the roof, and then hopefully you hire us to do the roof. So hopefully it's a win-win, right? But even
Mhm.
if you don't, like I'm here to help people like win business. So
I love that. I love that
yeah.
a lot. And then we just took care of one of your employees too, finding his
Oh yeah.
time home through
I didn't
creative.
know he closed. I found out from you that he closed. I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah.
Super cool. Really excited for him and his wife. But all right, DeAndre, you have this question of how do you handle working with new investors like myself? I want to build a portfolio, fear dealing with other people's money because of lack of experience. It's what's holding me back. I would say to you, DeAndre, the fact that you're fearing that actually makes me feel good about your perspective because it's the people who don't fear managing other people's money that is a little bit scary. It's like you should fear it. There should be a healthy fear that you need to be able to pay somebody else back. But if you have lack of experience, I would say go and work with other people's teams, get that confidence and better understanding of all the things that you have to be prepared for. Like kind of like what I was mentioning earlier today, like when you buy a rental, it teaches you a little bit about everything, right? What bills you have to pay, what maintenance you have to do, what all that looks like. Maybe go interview property managers, DeAndre, so that you can get a better sense of what things cost to hold so that you are a more rounded and educated person before you go and ask people for their money. So
Start small and put in the time too. I think
yep.
one thing for new investors, they think that they need to go from 0 to 100 doors.
Mm-mm.
Otherwise, they're failing, right? Like, and I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions is like you see people online that's like, he's got 100 doors, he's got 1,000 doors, and it's like, damn, how fast can I get to 1,000 doors? Like, don't sprint to 1,000 doors because that is not easy. And so
No.
it's like start small. Small maybe like you partner with somebody on a deal to own a rental or wholesale or something of that capacity, and then just baby step it forward. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's where a lot of people get whacked in this business is they try to go for like the big shiny object and then they get pummeled.
Yeah, totally. Very good. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I so appreciate you spending this time with us and kind of giving really the hard knock life story, but how it's becoming a beautiful story in terms of how you're building your business. And yeah, and really how narrowing your focus can expand your reach is something I used to say quite a bit. So really appreciate it. Go follow It's Ryan LaRue on Instagram. Send him your referrals through his DM. He's got a whole team out there. What's your Real Roofing? Is it The Real Roofing?
No, it's Real Roofing Official.
Oh, Real
Roofing. That's the business Instagram, Real Roofing Official. So,
okay. It's not like I actually might need a new roof pretty soon, but I freaking love your Instagram. I think Isaac's killing it on the social media side. I love a good entertaining reel, and I'm always looking at things from like a marketing perspective, right? Like it's really great content. So good job out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome.
We had our first viral reel.
Did you?
Yeah. We had our first reel hit 100K this last week, I think.
Oh, that's awesome. Super cool. Well, go follow Ryan. Go follow his Real Roofing Instagram. He comes from this space, guys, real estate, and really how it can help your framework in building a solid business. So go make that active income, and then consider real estate is really what I heard. So, all right. Thank you so much, Ryan. Thank you, everybody out there. We appreciate you being here on the podcast. Don't forget, we're here every Wednesday from 1 to 2 p.m. Arizona time, the Explain It podcast with myself, Ingryd Hernandez, and we will catch you guys next week. Thank you.
Thanks, Ingrid.